What's up, everyone? Welcome to Among the Fence, my YouTube channel where I do music reviews. My name is Aaron, and if it's your first time seeing one of my videos, I'd like to welcome you to my channel where I just chill and talk about things that we love or hate. And if you have anything you want me to review, leave a comment below letting me know what it is, and I'll make it happen for you. But for today, we're going to be checking out the new album Sex and Sax by the band Shrezzers. Shrezzers is one of the most wild bands I've heard in a long time. They started in 2016 and quickly blew up as they started to release singles for their 2019 debut album, Relationships. Their mixture of saxophone and proggy pop metal really set them apart, at least for me, along with their charismatic energy and their catchy music. And given the name of this new album, Sex and Sax, I think there's going to be quite a bit of saxophone, and I'm a huge fan of saxophone mixed in with my metal music. So I was excited about this one. The song starts off with the intro song, which is actually the characters for intro in Japanese, and it's full of different sounds that all work together. And if you've never heard Shrezzers before, this is definitely going to get you ready for what's to come. And then we have the song Tabadachi, I believe that's how it's pronounced. The lyrics are kind of silly, but you wouldn't really be able to tell because of the distorted vocals. And the pre-chorus has a vocal effect that makes it go really high before the chorus really draws you in. And the lyrics in the chorus hit me really hard, and they got stuck in my head for days. The saxophone and the guitar melodies are gonna be the main thing that makes you want to keep coming back for this song. And then we have the song 23, which starts out with a very bouncy riff, and the pre-chorus ramps you up for the chorus, which is really emotional and calming. The second verse keeps that kind of sound going, but now there's a duet between the clean vocals and the distorted vocals. And the sax solo adds more emotion to the song. But one great thing about Shrezzers is they don't really need the sax for the emotion. It's just a cherry on top because they do such a good job at drawing it out just by the vocals and lyrics and just the overall atmosphere and the music they create. Gambit has a super dynamic riff in the verse with clean vocals, and the chorus is like a pop-punk kind of quality to it that I enjoyed quite a bit. The sax solo is joined in by heavy drums, and the contrast between the two sounds so freaking good, and the aggression and the outro comes out of nowhere. It sounds fantastic. And then we have my favorite song on the album, Libertad. At first when I heard this, I thought it said Libtard. Kind of threw me through a loop a little bit. It starts out with a gentle guitar solo before the verse that has a ton of fierceness to it. The chorus is cleans and it keeps that energy going, but the sax solo kind of helps to mellow things out a little bit. And the bridge mixes the guitar melody and the fierce vocals so beautifully before it goes into the final chorus. And then we have the song Temperatura, which I think was the only single released for this album, not quite sure. It's all in Spanish. It has kind of like a salsa quality to it. The Latin guitar sounds great. Actually, I don't even think it's a Latin guitar. I think it's just he's playing like a Latin style on his electric guitar. The sax works great in this setting, probably the best it does out of any of the other songs. And it's a little bit slower, but it doesn't feel like it's dragging on. It doesn't feel out of place within the rest of the album. It fits in really well. Then we have the song Demure, I believe that's how it's pronounced. It comes in with a great riff and it continues that kind of chill vibe from Temperatura. The vocals are powerful and they're in front of the mix. The chorus brings back the intro riff and it sounds so freaking good. The sax solo follows after it, and the song it feels like it just continues to build and build and build until it goes into the next chorus after chorus after chorus, and the distorted vocals in the outro sounds super powerful in this song. I love everything about it. This is probably my second favorite song on the album. To divide the first half of the album and the second half of the album, we have an instrumental titled Hangover. It's a really chill song, and it does a good job at dividing it, to be completely honest, because then once you get into the next song, Mastophobia, which means fear of breasts, it really does feel like you've moved into a different section of their music. I don't know, it doesn't feel like a completely different album, but it sounds like it sounds like a continuation, if that really makes sense. And it's extremely brutal in the verse. The chorus has a really cool bass line to it. It cleans, and there's just a ecstasy to them. It sounds so great. The bridge has this climbing quality that separates itself from the growled vocals, and I love how the saxophone sticks around when the vocals come back in. I love the mixture of the two sounds. And then we have the song Pornhub, but it's spelled with V's. It touches on porn addiction and how it destroys lives, and I love the vocals from the two different vocalists. Slicky D, I believe, is one of them, and I don't really know how to pronounce the other one. The music is mostly just bass driven with quick drums. It kind of reminds me of, I might get hate for this, but something that Polyphia might release, is kind of instrumental sounding thing like that. The lyrics are perfect as they don't hold back at all, and the vocal delivery hits really hard, and the outro is it's just outrageous. And then we have the song Players, which is probably my favorite riff on this album thanks to the dissonance. The chorus is passionate, as are the verses, as they kind of tell a story of falling in love, and the distorted vocals in the bridge really show the vulnerability of just how vulnerable falling in love can really be. And then the song Phoenix, which continues this story. It has a mixture of clean and distorted vocals in the verse. And I think this is about overthinking things. At least that's kind of what I got from the lyrics and the soaring chorus, which sounds fantastic. And the whole song is full of passion, and it basically just builds all the way up into a huge outro. UVB 76 is extremely bass forward, and by that I mean it has one of the sickest bass lines I've ever heard, and it probably has the most intense vocals on this album. The second verse is almost like death chorus in a way, thanks to the guitar melody, and the cleans in the chorus kind of bring it all back around to the original sound. We have CJ McMahon, who takes over in the bridge, and he adds so much more dynamics to this song, and I feel like this is something the album needed, especially since the distorted vocals are kind of a prominent thing throughout this entire album. I mean, it's not the main focal point, the cleans are as well, but especially in a song like this, which is so heavy on the distorted vocals, and it's not saying that they become bad in any way, it's just something you're used to already hearing, so when somebody else's vocals come in, it's like a breath of fresh air. Then we have the song Jealousy, which is super smooth, mixing Spanish lyrics with English, basically line to line. The music sounds almost like it's all synth, I believe. The lyrics basically tell a story that the whole album is basically getting at, and is a great closing track for this entire thing, basically saying that throughout this entire relationship that he's been going through and all the struggles in his life of all this stuff with different relationships, it all comes down to kind of jealousy in a way, and insecurity more than anything else. I feel like a lot of people didn't really take this band seriously due to their name, their lyrical content, their overall image, and just how much fun they have, and they're a little poppy, and they got a lot of charisma, and a lot of times people see bands like that, it's just like, oh, it's just a fun, silly band. But I feel like with this album, they've shown that you should be taking them more seriously because of their lyrical content, what they're singing about, and just their overall talent is just so phenomenal. They've only gotten better at writing songs too, and they add in a different variety of music basically on every single track. You got some Latin stuff going on, they use a little bit more synth, and they mix it all in brilliantly. The vocals are great as ever, and the emotion can be felt on every song, even more so in this album than on their last album, Relationships. The only issue I could really see anybody having with this album is that because every song is kind of chaotic, all the choruses are kind of the same poppy kind of melody to them with the clean vocals that don't change a whole lot. I feel like a lot of people could kind of get lost in that, and it could be a little redundant. It could become kind of dull, sound like the same thing over and over again. But I didn't really have that problem. They do a good job at mixing up all the different sounds. They added in new stuff like Temperatura, really helps break up that monotony. Even songs like Hangover, and you can even get into like UVB 76, which is really heavy, which doesn't sound like anything else on this album. So I personally didn't have this problem. But if you're a first-time listener and you're not used to this kind of sound or what to listen for, you could definitely become lost in it from song to song and not even realize that 5 songs have gone by. So yeah, with all that said, I gotta give Sex and Sax by Shrezzers a 8.1 out of 10. But I want to know what you guys think. I'm sure a lot of people haven't even heard of this band before, so give them a listen. At least, a couple of the songs that I mentioned. Let me know what you would rate it, what your favorite song is, and if you enjoyed this review, don't forget to give it a like. If you want to help support me and my channel, please consider subscribing and ringing the bell icon. Doing any of that stuff helps me out tremendously, and I appreciate you guys so much, more than you could ever imagine. And I hope you all have a good rest of your day or night whenever you happen to be watching this, and I will talk to you guys next time.
I was taught an ignorant kid relying on my parents said to save me. Years gone by, turning over, ignoring every day. Set to convict me, 17 at the top of my